As children, I'm sure we've all been fascinated by space. Watching astronauts certainly made our dream to become one and eventually be able to go to space. However, it's not all happy days in space. Many types of research have shown that going to space can be very difficult for some astronauts due to the changes in the environment, and the fact that many everyday activities cannot be done with the comfort which we have doing them on Earth. Today, we will be telling you the top 12 things that we cannot do in space, and what issues we'll be facing if we attempt to do these things. Number 12. Going for walks. Humans have evolved to be the ideal weight to function in Earth's gravity, allowing them to stand, walk, run, sit, and lie down at the end of a long day. When an astronaut enters space, the delicate equilibrium of our atmosphere is lost for good, and even simple things like going for a walk become a thing of the past. A space tourist will always float away unless they're fastened down, and a spacewalk includes a lot of equipment and the risk of drifting out into the darkness. As a result, astronauts can easily forget about moving their legs and rely on a treadmill to exercise. Number 11. Watch flickering stars. Watching stars at night is one of the most common things we do on Earth. These stars are flickering at night and look like multicolored objects. These stars are flickering at night and look like multicolored objects because when their light passes through Earth's highly gaseous atmosphere, it creates a shimmering effect. Therefore, it is not possible to see it on extraterrestrial bodies such as the International Space Station, Moon, or Mars because their atmosphere is much clearer. Hence, no flicker from these stars is visible. Number 10. Using a pen. There is a legend that during the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union to reach the moon, Americans discovered that pens did not operate in space. They supposedly spent money manufacturing a special pen while the Soviets used a pencil. However, this is not the case. Until an inventor named Paul Fisher designed a specifically developed pen that could be used in space as a writing aid that prevented ink from congealing in zero gravity, the Russians used special pencils and the Americans used markers. Pens are certainly not used as much now, thanks to advances in computer technology, but it demonstrates the level of imagination required even for simple things like writing while in orbit. Number 9. Crying in space. Everyone knows that humans are largely made up of water, and sometimes this water can leak out of the body as watery secretions known as tears, which can be shed for a variety of reasons, including emotional events, slicing onions, and getting a blow to sensitive parts of the body. Let's say that you're watching an emotional rom-com up in space and you feel like crying. The lack of gravity prevents tears from falling, causing them to clump together around the eyeball. Getting something in your eye in space and then having a saltwater ball hanging from your eyelashes trapped on your face in space is surely to be a weird situation. Number 8. Eating food. Eating is much more than just a necessary part of keeping us alive and providing nutrients to our bodies. When chefs make a dish that tastes and looks incredible, it is more of a pleasure and in some ways an art form for humans. When astronauts are stationed on the International Space Station for months at a time, they have plenty of food to keep them going. However, given zero gravity, a meal cannot simply be served on a plate, so astronauts must be inventive. After all, eating would become an exercise in itself if they tried catching hovering food with a fork. Astronauts often lose their sense of taste, and because of zero gravity, some astronauts can have difficulty keeping it down. Number 7. Uncomfortable movement. Drifting almost 250 miles above the Earth's surface can be a cool and rare experience. Floating around can appear to be both exciting and relaxing. Astronauts have free time aboard the space station, but it's nothing like reclining in a chair and resting to pass the time before turning in for the night, though it's hard to differentiate between day and night due to the constant darkness outside. Floating around slowly inside a tin can may seem wonderful at first, but it becomes tedious after a while, demanding the completion of various activities to keep oneself occupied. This lack of movement even causes many astronauts to lose a lot of weight. Number 6. Internet access. Over the previous few decades, the internet has evolved from a one-of-a-kind mode of communication to a commodity that can now be found on anything from phones to even refrigerators. There's even virtual currency, and there are actually eye implants being developed that will allow individuals to access the internet in the blink of an eye. One would imagine that astronauts would be able to access the web in space. However, the internet is not available in orbit, and while electronic gadgets are on board, they don't actually have access to the internet or even social media. Number 5. Walking without a special suit. Apart from being lost in a forest or a jungle, or just taking a wrong turn, Earth is a pleasant and welcoming environment for the most part. Going outside for a walk or for any other reason means nothing to most humans. Even with the fascinating factor of being in space and the breathtaking views, being trapped in a large metal tube for months may be irritating and can affect your mental health. Going outside isn't as easy as what it is on solid ground. Instead, an astronaut must be connected to the intricate breathing devices that are also continually in use on the space station. Number 4. Staying still for too long. It isn't easy to stay in space for the majority of the year, not only because you're separated from your friends and family, but also because you can't do simple things like standing up. Our muscles are formed for a reason, to allow humans to survive on the surface of our planet, not 200 miles above it. Living in zero gravity for long periods of time causes muscle atrophy. To avoid muscle loss, the astronauts cannot be sluggish in space, and they must work out constantly to keep their muscles in good working order for when they return home. Number 3. Drinking fresh water. Everything is supplied in neat little packages up in space, and it must be that way because all activities in the International Space Station must be carried out perfectly, or the repercussions could be fatal. Even the drinking water is regulated, but setting up a huge water tank and keeping it fresh somewhere like the International Space Station is difficult. Everyone needs to drink water, which means they need to go to the bathroom. So what's the alternative? Well, the filtration of urine is one of the procedures used by US astronauts to acquire water. Other than that, a newer method used is condensing air to create moisture that they eventually use to drink. Number 2. Looking up at the sun. From a very young age, we're told not to stare directly at the sun, and for good reason. On a clear day, the sun is bright enough that if you look at it even for a second, it'll make you see nothing but one big spot that won't go away for a few minutes at least. Any longer than that, and you can risk causing major eyesight damage. This is a real risk that is always considered by astronauts, because there's no protective atmosphere between them and the sun to filter out the sunlight. Therefore, astronauts must always wear sun visors when going out on spacewalks due to the intensity of the sun when viewed from above our atmosphere. Number 1. Having a drink. Drinking a beer or having a drink to toast anything is one of life's many joys. Alcohol would be an ideal complement to the demanding life aboard a space station, yet an attempt to bring alcohol aboard Skylab resulted in its ban. Charles Borland tried to get some wine into space, but there was a fear that gravity might interfere with the drink's flow, so he went with the more durable sherry instead. Unfortunately, during launch tests, it was discovered that the sherry fumes mingled with the residual throw-up smell on the test plane, which was actually known as the Vomit Comet, and it caused the astronauts to live up to the name. Though this didn't stop them from going ahead with the idea, it received a great deal of backlash from the general public. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is our list of the top 12 things you cannot do in space. Which one sounds like the most difficult for you to do if you were an astronaut? Let us know in the comments below, and make sure to drop a like on this video and make sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll see you next time.